Good morning, everyone. We are so excited you are here. Welcome to our March monthly setup social. My name is Katie Gideon, and I will be your facilitator this morning. And then also joining us in the chat is my awesome stage manager, Maya. We are so excited to kick off March. I'm gonna embrace the kind of theme this month, which is wonder. So super excited about that, especially since the previous month adoration was a little tough for me to kind of embrace and go on. So keeping that in mind, super excited to transition into the wonder. But first, I am joining you guys from Houston, Texas, but it's a bit cold and dreary. I haven't seen the sun in a week, and it's certainly making me look forward to spring and summer and all the sun and the longer days and all of those things. So a couple other kind of rules to get started is go ahead and make sure your chat is set to everyone so you can share all of your tips and tricks with your Sonder fam. Make sure you have your March journal. If you don't have your journal quite yet, don't worry. Grab a notepad and you can jot down some notes that you can then transfer over, but also make sure you have your washi tape or stickers, something to write with, colored pencils, any of the above, because we are going to not only set up our March journal, we also have a couple other fun activities to start kind of embracing the idea of wonder. But we're so excited you're here, ready to get started. So as said, this is the theme for wonder. I really liked the quote that is on page 3 in the journal, which is, there are no great limits to growth because there are no limits to human intelligence, imagination, and wonder. That really speaks to me because I have a science background. I'm an oceanography degree. So I was always that little kid that wanted to know everything about the natural world. Why is the sky blue? Why is the ocean blue? I was the one that would run around and poke things. And if I found them when we would go to the beach, I was always digging, asking all those questions. So I was always excited. I always continue to love the kind of wonderment of learning and discovery and education. But I found myself kind of, as I was going down this wonder path initially, I was getting very close to the what ifs. And unfortunately, the what ifs for me tend to get a little negative. I tend to get a little harsh. It's the, what if I had said this? What if I had done this? What if this had been done? So I was starting to get into the dwell side, but kind of realizing that I want to stay on kind of that positive end of wonder and the kind of human intelligence, education, learning, always moving forward. So I know, again, these themes can be a little bit tricky. So as you navigate those, again, the theme is just kind of a grounding point. And if it's something that is causing too many negative thoughts or too many of those just negative places, you don't always have to use the theme. You can change all of the prompts. You can make this very much your own. And that's what we want to see. And that's what we want to do, because it's your journal, your journey. And we want to certainly break away from that perfection of always having to have the answer. These are just the ideas that you can kind of sit with and kind of give yourself that inspiration and that compassion and grace to kind of navigate as you should see fit. So here's our agenda today. We're going to do an opening activity. We're going to have the awesome opportunity to reflect on February. We're going to set our intentions for this month. We're going to set up some of our trackers, all while learning tips and tricks from one another. And then we have a fun closing activity as well. So for our opening activity, please turn to a blank notes page, or if you're trying to preserve your notes pages, go ahead and grab a scratch pad or do it in the scratch side. I've actually repurposed already my expense tracker and my sleep tracker. Those just aren't something I want to do this month, so find some space. And what we want to do is we want to write numbers 1 through 5, and I want you to ask yourself, I wonder. And then I want you to write a statement about something you've always had an interest in, wondered about, wanted to learn more. But I want you to ask the questions that you can't look up in Google. I feel like I became such one of those where it was like, how tall is this actor? How old is this actress? When was this movie made? Kind of instant Google question and answer has been really amazing for my inquisitive mind, but I want us to take that step back and do the kind of not so Googler answers. And then once you have those five, feel free to circle your top wonder and what's maybe one way you can get closer to that wonder in the next month. So here's kind of the example that I look at with again, the instructions here. So kind of like I said, the non-Googler answers where I feel like I just had a bit of a week. So the big question I feel like I was wondering as I was working on this was, am I doing a good job living? I feel like that was kind of what really hit and that wonder, but it was also that very close line to the what if versus the wonder, but certainly something I want to take a look at and explore a little bit more. But please take this opportunity to just get those kind of moments and ideas flowing. Don't don't critique your wondering. Just start kind of putting that pen to paper as we get ready to start this social. Give you guys some time, and we will see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for sharing. I loved seeing where we went with our wanders when we let them wander. A couple that I thought were interesting in the chat was for Leanne. Why is music even? Does that make sense? Just the fact that people can make music is incredible to me. I feel like I always wonder that as well. You know, the creativity taken to create music, to create lyrics, to create, you know, books, stories, poems, all of those kind of amazing things. Just kind of, for me, it's always that human intelligence and intellect, how far we can go. I also saw someone wonder how many houseplants were too many. I feel like sometimes I ask myself similar questions. Is this too much? Is this too many? But I feel like if it makes me happy, the answer to that is never. It's never a wander. Also loved seeing everyone kind of looking into the future, kind of wondering what kind of impression you were leaving, wondering where you're going to be in a few years, wondering if you're on that right path, wondering if you're on a path at all, wondering if you get to travel. So just the opportunity to just sit and think and again, let your mind wander is always a great opportunity to just spend some time. What's creative? What are you thinking? What are you pondering? And I feel like that's certainly something that helped just putting kind of pen to paper in this situation, asking those questions. And then what I also like about this particular exercise is you can kind of randomly write, I wonder, on the weekly spread, and maybe you have a different wonder during that day. So just kind of an opportunity to get the thoughts going, the ideas going as we embrace the theme this month and think and get creative and really diving into some of that self-reflection that we kind of secretly need, secretly want, and how we can turn those into action. So thank you again for sharing. So please turn to page 8 in your journal. You're going to have the opportunity to reflect on February. The great thing about each new month is that you can start new, start fresh, but you do have an opportunity to look at the previous month and celebrate some of those wins that you had, maybe acknowledge some of the challenges that you had, celebrate again and reminisce on those favorite moments, but then also look at things you maybe want to start, stop, or continue so that we can build into that as we continue through the setup part of the journal. So think of wins as something that you did, something that made you happy, something that made you smile, something that you accomplished. Some of these don't have to be the big lofty things. It could just be, like you said, the moment that you really felt quite happy, quite pleased with yourself. For the challenges, again, something that didn't maybe go quite right, something that was a bit of a stumbling block, a hurdle, something that was out of your control, but just an acknowledgement that it was there. And then if you're kind of stuck on some of these ideas, you can always look at maybe some of your rosebud thorns from your previous month. People also go through their phones to celebrate some of those kind of wins and favorite moments. But we also kind of want to look at the opportunity to identify some of those things we want to stop, and continue. So for me, a couple of February wins, we had a really long kind of training session with some of our offshore associates. So I put together a communication conflict resolution workshop that I was really proud of, you know, being able to come from in my head idea to actual action, and seeing the kind of embrace and participation there really made me happy. The challenges, I feel like I'm in that winter blues stage where it just didn't want to do anything. I wasn't motivated. I feel like I did the bare minimum because it was cold or it was dreary or it was dark. So obviously I needed to just do more during the day instead of just the minimum. Other kind of favorite moments were obviously the Sonder Social events. I love these. I love being the facilitator for these. We had a really great time on the Valentine's Day event that we had. Always looking forward to these the next month because to me, they're just fun. It's a great way to connect, but also explore some of that creativity that I don't always get in my day-to-day life. And then a couple of things I want to stop, and continue. I need to start sleeping better. I need to stop kind of expecting different reactions and pushing my priorities aside. And I'm going to continue journaling my PMP progress, but always moving forward and just moving more. So these are these ideas that you can kind of, again, love the opportunity to reflect on the previous months. And totally honest, I've been a member with Silk and Sonder since June of 2020. I showed up for the trackers. They absolutely spoke to me. I needed a little bit more accountability. I didn't touch the reflections and intentions pages for months because they were a little bit terrifying, didn't quite understand it. But now these are certainly some of the first ones that I do, because it is that small moment to cheer yourself on with what you did, those small steps towards progress, but also, again, acknowledging some of those kind of harder moments, learning from it, but not dwelling, and trying to give myself a little bit more permission to not dwell, and then looking more into what I can start, stop, and continue to feed those trackers that I love. So I'm going to give you guys some time to do so, and we'll see you back shortly. Thank you everyone for sharing and welcome back. Um, First off, want to acknowledge a couple wins that were shared. Jen, her February win was beating cancer, which is so exciting. Congratulations, Jen. I know that's probably been a very long journey for you, and to be on the other side is always amazing. Portia also shared one of her wins. She looked at herself for the first time with true self-love and happiness. Love that journey. So glad that you made it there. But then also for all of the wonderful wins that people were sharing, the Zoom calls, the being able to go to theater again, some of those kind of favorite moments. Also acknowledging that this was a tough month for others. Crystal, that her challenge was her husband is a police officer and they lost one of their officers earlier yesterday morning. So sorry, sending all of the thoughts your direction as your community starts to process what has happened. That's always very tough. Any sort of loss in the community certainly has those on not only the community level, but on those personal levels. And then again, seeing all the other kind of start, stop, and continue opportunities. So it's certainly one of those journeys that everybody is on, but the opportunity to share those wins, challenges, and moments with each other is always what's magical and special about the socials. And again, if you weren't quite in the headspace to complete this or not enough time, don't worry, you can always take notes and come back to it. That's what's amazing about these is you can use the entire month, the entire year to kind of reflect back on all these, and you don't have to fill out everything. It could just be one or two. I feel like a couple times I just, you had a rough month. I had a rough month and I didn't want to dwell on it. So certainly kind of fill this out as you see fit, as you're feeling all of those emotions that have kind of unexpectedly come up or maybe expectedly come up, kind of embrace those and just follow with what you need for that kind of self-care space. So now please turn to page 9, next page over. We have the opportunity to set our intentions each month. So this was, the concept of a new month, but don't, this is not a to-do list. This is something just for you, and then giving yourself to kind of do it, the strength to do it, the support to do it, the ideas that you want to do. The standard kind of set intentions we have are spiritual health, personal life, physical health, key relationships, money management, and professional goals. What's really nice about these is you don't have to use them if they don't work for you. I know we have quite a few retirees in our group and they mark out professional goals and turn it into retirement goals or creativity goals or hobby goals. Also, I know people, don't even use the categories at all. They use whatever they need to focus on without kind of defining it in that special way. But kind of some tips and tricks to kind of get this started is, again, you can always come back to the theme of wonder or curiosity, kind of some of those synonyms to help set your intentions. You can also use it as a self-love or a self-talk opportunity. You can use song or tune, lyrics, affirmations to kind of bring about your inspiration. This is kind of an idea of maybe what you want to accomplish, but you can also use, stickers, colors, images, some of those things that just kind of make you smile or just keep you motivated. And another thing you can kind of try is maybe one thing you want to let go of or one thing that you want to start doing in all of these categories or none of these categories. What I thought was really fun is someone kind of embraced the theme of wonder, and at each of these kind of asked the I wonder question within the categories. I wonder if I did this, or I wonder if this happened. I wonder if this would change, kind of within those intentions. I thought that was a really creative way to start this. So here are my intentions, the one on the left. I am one of those that I use artists' songs, musics, because I listen to music all the time. So for me, what's fun is to pick a song title. I listen to my music on shuffle, so if these song titles come up, it's an opportunity for me to take a moment and kind of check in with that intention. So this month in the celebration of International Women's Day, I went with pink. I was having, like I said, a rough week, kind of rough go, but I listened to Pink's songs kind of on my way home from a really long drive, and it just really worked for me, and it was one of those things that I really liked. So anytime I hear Pink, we're going to embrace March, and I want to be a little bit more like her this month. And then what I also like, the one on the right, is sometimes you just need a word, a phrase, something to keep it a little bit simpler, a little less complicated, just something to kind of get you moving, get you going, because you've had a rough month, a rough week, and just those simple things. So certainly love all of those opportunities. So with the intentions, the idea is to make it what you want, repurpose it in any way. Please share any of those repurposing ideas, and as well as just kind of maybe some intentions that you're looking into. We would certainly love to hear it, but at the same time, take this time to set up the journal as you see fit, and we will see you shortly. Welcome back. Thank you everyone for sharing. I loved seeing all of the intentions that everyone is setting. A few kind of highlights. Natalie, I loved her idea of making a common theme. So all of her intentions are going to be around school and kind of getting back on track there and moving forward with that. Love that. Mags also highlighted that her key relationships is going to be patience. She is in that, I feel like we're in that time of kind of change and growth within her social group. So just reminding herself to be patient is a very lovely intention for that area. And then also Rebecca was going to prioritize her physical and mental health over some of her professional goals, which I feel like sometimes we need those highlights of kind of work-life balances, especially I've transitioned to working at home sometimes, so still having to establish and not the urge to run into the room at all hours of the night and turn on the laptop because I'm bored. And a couple of the other ones, Denise wanted to be comfortable with being naturally beautiful for physical health. Love that call out and that self-love acknowledgement. For Teresa, she wonders how not to feel rushed, to slow down and take her time. I love that reminder. I feel like I'm constantly giving myself that one as well. The phrase I always use is take the long way home. Maybe it's a different route. Maybe it's just sitting and being with your thoughts a little bit longer, but certainly that slow down is a lot of times what I have to quiet my mind with. And then loved Wendy's breakdown of the word selfish, which means sleep, educate, love, fuel, food, intuition, self-care, and hydrate. That's an amazing, excellent kind of concise breakdown of selfish and why some of those self boundaries are certainly important and a way to certainly focus on those. So thank you, Wendy, for sharing. And also what's really great about these intentions, again, sometimes you're just not in the right headspace to do so. So thank you everybody for sharing their intentions. You can also go into the Sonder Club app under inspiration section, and other folks have posted other ways they've used their intentions. So you can always kind of check in there and get some ideas there. So love that. Thank you everyone for sharing. So now we are moving on to our tracker setups, which, like you said, I showed up to the kind of Sonder journey with trackers in mind. So certainly, like, you know, came for the trackers, stayed for the creativity, but also understanding that some of these trackers can be a little tricky to address because certainly it's a lot to track. And so feel free to use them kind of as you see fit. What's nice is you don't have to use all of them. You don't have to answer all the questions. Just certainly listen to what you think you need and go from there. So the first one we're going to set up is our mood tracker. So this is on page 10. The idea that you can use this mood tracker is just kind of understand trends on how we feel, maybe notice making shifts or standard changes, but also an opportunity to acknowledge maybe what works when positive moods show up. Same thing of like kind of noticing when kind of negative moods show up. So here is the feelings wheel. Don't worry, I'll be showing it a little bit later as well when we go to start the actual kind of creation of the tracker. But we hit kind of the 6 different categories of emotions and all the various kind of iterations of those emotions. And so what we always, a good way to start is to potentially pick one emotion from each of the sections in that mood chart. But you can also pick a few different areas from the feeling chart if you want to deep dive into multiple emotions for each section. You can also always focus on the theme for the month. But then when you fill it out, you can either fill it out for every emotion that you feel that day or the emotion that you feel the strongest. But if the emotions aren't really something you're wanting, you can always repurpose it. Some folks have used it as a daily affirmations tracker, tracking anxiety levels or anxiety triggers. Same thing with depression levels and depression triggers, even seeing it as kind of migraine triggers. You can always use kind of a different scale. You can use colors, you can use symbols, you can use stickers, or the opportunity of maybe 6 things of wonder for the month. So we certainly love seeing the repurposing here. So here are a couple examples. As you can see, the person on the left used smiley faces and other emotion stickers to track that. The one in the middle shows a couple different emotions each day. And then the other one is certainly a very elegant and lovely, intricate design. So certainly all the ways to use it and repurpose it. Here are the ones that I use. I treat it as tracking emotions. As you can see from the one on the right, I track 3 emotions each day, kind of how I'm feeling when I get up, how I'm feeling in the middle of the day, and how I feel in the evening. A lot of it is just to see if I wake up tired, do I ever kind of get out of that funk for the rest of the day? So for me, it was certainly one of those interesting things. And when I started out, I picked kind of the stronger emotions on the spectrum, where it was really frustrated or angry, and I was using excited. So I feel like I was on this roller coaster, and each time I got to sit and reflect at the end of the day, I was just kind of feeding into that frustration, or I was feeding into the excitement. So I was feeling very much these, very high highs and very low lows. So I went again a little bit more of a neutral emotion approach. So instead of being angry, I was able to kind of manifest into bothered, where it was an acknowledgement of something didn't go the way I had planned, but not kind of dwelling in me or feeding that kind of larger machine. But these are, again, just some ideas. I'm going to flip us over to the feelings wheel, give you guys some time to use this, and please share if you have any other repurposing. Saw someone already suggested that they use theirs as a symptom tracker, especially for those folks that maybe have chronic illnesses, or the opportunity to track all of those and then use that to speak with their doctor when they have those opportunities. So again, give you guys some time, and we will see you shortly. Welcome back. Thank you for sharing. I loved seeing our mood wheel light up with all of the emotions that folks are going to explore this month. But also wanted to have a few call outs. One from Susie. She has staples. She uses anxious, motivated, meh, irritable, happy, content, and then a catch-all. She noticed that there were times when she was feeling something that doesn't fit into these categories, so she leaves one open to add what she's feeling is needed throughout the month. I think that is a great idea, especially I know when sometimes I feel like I'm just in a very negative headspace at the time, keeping some spaces open to maybe build those as you go. So I think it's great. And also the opportunity that if you're not feeling it that month, you can cross it out, cover it up with a sticker, and add a different one. Also wanted to share some of the repurposing that were there. Lisa uses hers as a step tracker. Sherry is using hers as a self-care tracker. Shonda is using it as a declutter tracker. And then Natasha is using it as a workout tracker. So all of these are great repurposing ideas. And obviously it's one of those that it works for them. And I think it's an excellent repurpose. Certainly want to share. So now we are going to move on to our next tracker. On page 11, the habit tracker. This is an opportunity to start new habits, stop doing habits that don't serve us, and then continue habits that bring value. So again, some of those that were previously used on the mood tracker can be transferred over to the habit tracker if you kind of want to do both or repurpose one of the above. But some ideas to kind of get you started for the tips and tricks. You can always use the theme for wondering, of wonder for grounding, but you can also pick kind of another theme. Maybe it's around being grounded or calm or setting a morning routine or an evening routine or a self-care routine. It's also an opportunity to continue habits from last month, or maybe finding balance between habits that you can do and ones that are going to be trickier to commit to. So here are some examples. Someone wrote down their trackers and they're using stickers. A couple have a little bit more kind of intricate, more of maybe a start, stop, continue idea. And then the one on the right, always like to highlight, is sometimes a migraine sneaks up on you, or vacation or work, and you just don't want to track what's going on because you're just not feeling yourself, you're not in the right space, and that's perfectly fine. Earlier this year, when January rolled around, I actually gave myself permission to not do any tracking for the first week and a half in January, just because I really wanted to be present with my friends and family. So I just didn't do it, and I was okay with that. I feel like if you had asked me that, a couple months ago, it would have certainly been something I would have counted as a challenge, and certainly is not a win that month, but I was more pleased with giving myself permission and being okay with that. And I feel like that's kind of another approach you can see with this habit tracker, is these are excellent ways to kind of start steps moving into your intentions, but you're not restricted to it, and you need to give yourself the grace and the permission to do what works for you, what you need that day, because sometimes it may not be tracking. As I said, I was a creature of habit, still am, so my habits don't change too much. But as you can see, the ones that I have in my monthly are things that I want to accomplish every day. And then what I have in the smaller corner is that weekly habit activity tracker in the weekly spread. So the first one would be on page 26. What I do is then quantify some of those kind of big things that I want to accomplish, because I found, it's a little bit easier to reach a goal when you actually set something, instead of I want to walk every day. Well, I want to walk and bike for 20 minutes every day. I want to read for fun. But I want to read 2 chapters. Same thing with setting aside, not just journaling. I want to journal every day for 15 minutes. And then I include just some other fun ones that I went throughout. But certainly always opportunity for work. But that's kind of how I connect my monthly into my weekly, and also pulling from my intentions of the things that I kind of really want to hit. But there are also times where I don't want to do all 7 things. There are months where I really just want to kind of track 2 or 3 things or 1 thing. So the opportunity to do all of those things, it's whatever works for you, what you're really feeling inspired to do. And then at the same time, these are just opportunities to start now. If you need, again, inspiration, again, the Silk and Sonder app will have a lot of different repurposing here. But again, this is the opportunity to kind of set how you want to move forward and all those things. And if you need some other help with habits, we will share this. And please let us know if you have any questions, and share your repurposing ideas as well. And we will see you shortly. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing all the discussion going on in the chat. Wanted to highlight one that I thought was an excellent reminder that I feel like sometimes we get a little stuck in. It was from Angie, and that she's writing in the last line a grace space for those times when she just can't, for whatever reason. And I think that is a lovely way to approach the habit trackers or any of these trackers. Is certainly one of those with the like just kind of a little bit of an overwhelming, or you're not feeling it, you're not wanting it. And just kind of the opportunity to acknowledge it as that is okay. And that's where we go. But loved seeing our screen light up with the fun things of dance party, apps, focusing on some of those self-care ideas. And then I also saw someone else just kind of giving themselves the permission to forgive themselves. And then as you kind of go to the next pages, when we have a sleep tracker, an expense tracker, all of these things. So I certainly reached a bit of an overwhelming tracker mood. So I am going to repurpose my expense tracker and my sleep tracker. And then Melissa also repurposed her sleep tracker as a work tracker because she's a bit of a workaholic, tracks her start stop times and how she feels about the day. Also helped her to realize that boundaries must be set and needs to take the me days. So I love seeing all these creative approaches to the trackers, but also kind of acknowledging you don't have to use all of them because kind of an inundation in tracker will certainly increase those anxiety levels. And committing there. So certainly the opportunity to kind of set some of those boundaries. So thank you again for sharing. And now we're going to move into our closing activity. I couldn't get the idea of Wonder Wheel out of my head. And so this is kind of somewhat similar to our first activity where we were asking kind of those not Googleable questions. But the Wonder Wheel, I certainly want the opportunity of something that we can certainly explore, either articles, Google, some of those ideas. Because what's lovely is the Wonder Wheel, you can go round and round and round for any of those ideas that you're really stuck in or wanting to learn more about, but also the opportunity to get off and come back on. So turn to a blank page or use one of your spare pages, and I want you to draw a Wonder Wheel or a Ferris wheel. And within each car or on the spokes of the Ferris wheel, write a word, a phrase, an idea, an article, a topic, maybe some nonfiction book titles. That's kind of what I was using this exercise for me, is I feel like I need to embrace the nonfiction side as a reader, but I love my fiction, but kind of want to do some of those ideas. And then you can also come back to these ideas and prompts to focus on for this month as we continue to explore wonder. So for example, here is my not so elegant drawing of a wonder wheel. Art was not my expertise. But you can always come back to this, especially if you want a better drawing. You can print out a clip art, just kind of jot down the instructions here and come back to it. But as you can see, I filled in some of the cars, the things that are just kind of on my mind at the moment. And then I've left some cars open for some of those ideas that I can come back and jot down too. But again, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to come back through and take a look at this. Here again, the instructions, like I said, you can jot them down. Might not have a whole lot of time to finish it, but certainly wanted to get this started as an opportunity to come back and explore those ideas that you're wondering. Loved seeing all of your ideas. Don't worry if you didn't have an opportunity to finish this, keep working on it. I will also post this particular activity prompt in Sonder Club so you can come back to it. But just again, the opportunity to creatively write down some of those things that you're always wondering, thinking about. I feel like I've got like a running notes page or running articles that I want to read. So this for me was an opportunity to embrace wonder, but also give myself a little bit of structure to go along with it. But we have now come to the end. I am so glad you guys joined us on this lovely Sunday morning. Thank you again for sharing everything that you did. Hopefully you got some great ideas and opportunities to set up your March, because March is going to be a lovely month. If you haven't joined us in the Sonder app, here are the opportunities to download those, just so we can continue the conversation, providing more tips, tricks, ideas, as well as support. Maya is also including that in the chat. Also, please, we read all of your feedback. So this is a QR code to take the survey now. Socials were created for this particular feedback that we received. You wanted more socials, you wanted more exclusive activities. So we've certainly created those. Some upcoming ones are Wheel of Life. You'll see one for the gratitude jar, as well as other Wonder Exercise Journal. And then we have a couple kind of special exclusive events. So in order to find those, you can go to our Eventbrite page, or in the app, if you go to the kind of chat area up at the top, there's a little calendar and you can sign up for the Eventbrites that way. But would love to connect with you guys there. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad you were here. We are so glad that you made time for yourself. And also shout out to our weekly setup event that's happening this evening, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you can set up your week with Karen. Those will be the weekly spreads. So hopefully we'll see you there. If not, we will see you on the app. Thank you again for coming. I am also included my playlist from today for those that were interested, but we'll still be here to answer some questions. But have a wonderful end of the week, and we'll start March off with all of the wonderment that it deserves. See you guys soon. Thank you for coming.
Just to see me stand over my bed, disbelieving what they see. They say I must be one of the wonders, God's own creation. And as far as they see, they can offer no explanation. Newspapers ask intimate questions, want confessions. They reach into my head to steal the glory of my story. They say I